Welcome back. Continued coverage here of the Whataburger Bassmaster Elite at Neely Henry Lake, and they've done it again. They've given us the reins. Team R&D, Ronnie, of course, that stands for research for the R, and I'm the D. I guess I'm the Dave. But when you look at the leaderboard right there, you have Clark Wendlet with 13 pounds, 4 ounces on top of it, and a guy who says he really likes being our Angler of the Year leader, and the best way to stay up there is to stay on top of that leaderboard, and you see him in second place here at this point on day number 1, Seth Fighter. But look out for the little ball of hate in third, Wes Logan. This our playing field, a relatively smaller playing field than what we're used to here on the Bassmaster Elite Series, but anytime you come to Alabama and the historic Coosa River chain, you know you're going to have a fun event, and that's where we are here this week, Gadsden, Alabama. The first time the Elite Series has been here, Ronnie, but I built you up. I mean, they've let us back together. It is R&D again, and I can't develop much, but I know you can do some research, so what are you looking at here this week?
Well, I like the way the leaderboard's shaping up. We have some classic winners, Angler of the Year, some locals, some leaders in that, and then legends like Rick Clunn having a great showing this week. And that's really, we see a lot of veterans. Either you have a lot of experience on the body of water or you have a lot of experience with tournament bass fishing that kind of excel on these tough day ones with these crazy weather changes. We saw it at Pickwick. Some old school anglers really started to do well right off the rip there with all the changing conditions. Same thing here at Neely Henry, and we'll get into it throughout this hour, but the generation schedule from the Weiss Dam to Neely and how it affects the river portion, and then how the generation schedule from Neely to Logan Martin affects the lower end of the lake. And we have 3 anglers up north and 3 anglers down south for our camera coverage. So we're getting a taste of both conditions on Neely today.
Well, the best part about it is this derby just getting started, just day number 1. And let's have a look at our Toyota Midday report and start it off with the 2019 Elite Series Angler of the Year. And Alabama representing in a big way here on day number 1, Ronnie.
Yeah, with 50% of the Bassmaster fantasy fishing world picking Scott Canterbury, they would probably assume he would be up the river flipping shallow flooded cover, but he has opted to fish down lake, moving baits like a spinner bait, just like this guy, Kelly J, joining him down at the bottom of the lake, and we know what Kelly loves to do.
I told you, it is all Alabama all the time, and Kelly J, of course, another Alabama angler, and any time a jerk bait gets into play, you know he's going to be a player in this tournament. And once again, we've got another one of those anglers that you look at and you got to ask yourself, is it finally time for Kelly J? I mean, you said it off the top, Ronnie, and it has played true stop after stop. Changing events, different events, especially events where they actually delay a day and you give the guys opportunity to get in their head. It usually plays for those veterans. But here's a rookie who is definitely the exception to the rule, leading our Rookie of the Year race. And shocker, he's from Alabama also, Josh Strachner.
Strachner is one of those Coosa River anglers, whether you put him on Neely, Logan, Lay, Mitchell, Weiss, Jordan, any of the 6 on the Coosa chain, he probably has a lot of experience there. Also great throughout the country, and he's proving that this year. But Strachner taking a different approach, flipping a spinner bait, also, you know, mixing in some other baits, but slowly, methodically picking apart cover up the river in that current with a spinner bait.
Let's not leave Alabama, but let's get a little more grizzled and a lot more experienced. Matt Herron.
All our eyes were on this guy. He wrote a story, a column about his love and affliction for Neely Henry. Obviously used to be sponsored by the tourism department here, fish Neely Henry Lake. He talked up the Coosa River and how good it is. And this is setting up to be his style, and you wondered if locals would have an advantage with the flooding conditions or if it would mess up their game plan coming into this event. But Herron getting plenty of bites, accessing some tight areas that may not be accessible later in the week, and it's kind of paying off for him this morning.
Speaking of veterans, let's go over to a guy who won the 1992 Bassmaster Classic on the Coosa River, and no shocker to have him in the mix here on day number 1, the one and only David Fritz.
Yeah, 1 lake down, he did a dream that everyone has to win a Bassmaster Classic, and we expected David Fritz to have a crankbait in play, especially for the changing conditions down at the bottom of the lake, actually being low water towards the Neely Henry Dam.
Long and skinny.
Fritz has caught a couple key fish today, one good one as well to go with it. And what you're going to see at the bottom of the lake is a lot more spotted bass show up for these anglers like Kelly J, Canterbury, and Fritz compared to the number of largemouth that may show up flipping for Heron, Strassner, and the rest.
David Fritz, 7 pounds 6 ounces behind the leader. Back in the Elite Series, and it's good to have him back here. Missed the first event, but let's not live in the past. Let's live in today. Our Angler of the Year leader, the amazing fighter man, Seth Fighter. And for the first time, I sensed a little bit of apprehension and pressure on him this morning. What say you, Ronnie Moore?
I think he recovered from that self-induced pressure with the water levels being what it is, being the Angler of the Year leader, him and Patrick Walters having a significant gap over third place Drew Cook. To see him rebound the way he did after missing and losing a couple fish and putting a great limit, second place right now on Bass Track, that bodes well for Fighter and the rest of the field. They're going to be worried when they see him weigh in.
There he is.
And let's just, for the record, I mean, I said we saw pressure. I didn't say he didn't recover. I mean, we're talking about a guy who has literally changed his shoes during an event just for style points. But this morning, it looked like he was locked down with one goal in mind. That, our Angler of the Year title. Let's have a look at our Skeeter Boats Angler of the Year watching at top of that leaderboard, Seth Fighter and Patrick Walters. And when you see that gap, Ronnie, people are going to start to say it's a two-horse race.
Yeah, the next event, this event and the next event at Guntersville will really determine that final two-event push up north. If Fighter has a lead, if Chris Johnston can stay in the mix, guys like Welcher, Drew Cook, who haven't done great with smallmouth their first few years on the Elites, if they can somehow make a charge there. You have Brandon Polinick lurking, Jason Christie, Brock Mosley with a second place at the St. Lawrence River in past years. It'll be very interesting coming down the wire, and then that classic cut is always going to be one we watch. But Fighter, very strong today and has a little bit of a swagger to himself now that he's kind of recovered from his tough start. He's feeling it like he normally does.
I mean, he's always got a swag, but speaking of swag, your Angler of the Year leader, Joshua Straser, hooked up right now.
All the same size.
Number 4.
Ronnie, do you feel an incredible amount of pressure when you watch him compete? I remember at the first event of the year, right on day one on the stage, I believe he said, man, I just didn't want to let Ronnie Moore down.
That is not what he said, but I did think he would do very well in the Rookie of the Year race. Just such a stoic, strong figure, like knows what his style is and is going to do that. He's going to be true to himself. Very versatile, quiet. You're not going to hear him tell you how good he is. You're just going to watch him, and he's going to prove it. So for him to be over halfway through the season and be Angler or Rookie of the Year leader, and now he's on one of his home bodies of water, I'd expect him to stay in that mix until we get towards the Classic time.
Some may say he does his talking on the scales.
It's kind of going about like I expected. You know, you just got to hunt and peck away. And I don't know if I'm in the wrong area or just not really biting, but I actually thought I'd done got a few more bites than what I have. I've got 7 or 8 bites. They're just not, you know, not any size to them. They're all the same, 1.5 to 2 pounds. I'm hoping they're just gonna start biting here shortly. But I'm just flipping, throwing chatterbait and spinnerbait. Really nothing special. I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but that's what I'm doing.
Dave, in the game this week, it may not be what bait you're using, because a lot of guys will use the same things, but it's where you're putting it and where you choose to live on this body of water. And Strassner, that's what's going to separate them. Heron, Strassner, Canterbury, the guys who know this place, that helps a whole lot.
Yeah, there's always those little things. I mean, even you look at our last event where people were looking at them. People that are used to looking at fish on Lake Fork see them better than any